Hi folks, hope you're okay today. It's good to be with you and love to everybody out there. My name's Jason, my website jasonburnspreacher.com. You can get me on Facebook and Twitter. Twitter is, you could get me, just type in Jason Burns Preacher, you'll get me on Twitter. Good to be with you. I just want to share about free speech and Hyde Park. And I just want to give you my honest opinion, my honest, heartfelt feelings about that place and what it means to me and all that's happened recently. I do believe that Hyde Park is a very special and unique place. When you go down to Hyde Park, you become part of a family. It's like a big, big family down there, and it's a wonderful place. It's kind of like a cross between a university and a lunatic asylum. You get all sorts of crazy people, but you can debate and discuss. It's a wonderful place and a unique place. Now, a year and a half ago, I went down to Hyde Park for the first time, and I was shocked to find that it was basically taken over by Muslims, Sunni Muslims mainly. And there was quite an intimidatory aspect to it, where they were basically manipulating and controlling the whole Hyde Park, praying down there in large numbers, going down with camera crews, getting young Christians in corners, surrounding them and getting them on film. And they were basically using Hyde Park to take over the nation and to spread Islam, not in the UK but around the world, with their videos. So I encouraged teams to go down and try to do what we could to encourage the Christians down there. Now Tommy Robinson's come along, and he's done a free speech event at Hyde Park, and he had a right to do that. I totally agree with what he said. I totally agree with what he did. I think it was the right thing. Lawrence Southern being arrested at the border and others, and the curtailment of free speech and the attacks on people by Antifa at universities and on Tommy Robinson's camera crew. I totally agree with what Tommy Robinson said. It was right to highlight that free speech was going in our country, and it is. I also want to say that the issue concerning Islam in British culture and in European culture, I do think that the higher echelons of power in our society have failed to calculate the impact that Islam will have on our Western culture in years to come. Islam is a theocracy, and it will demand power in years to come, and it will create massive political convulsions in Western civilization, and that's coming soon, folks. And our powers that be have put their head in the sand and don't want to face that issue, and when they do face it, it will be too late. But in the midst of that, there are people that are waking up to the dangers of this, but I think it's systematic of a wider problem. I believe our Western civilization and culture has turned away from Christianity. It's made a new morality with political correctness, and this new morality is not able to hold societies together and gel people together where the Christian narrative was and did. And so in this political correctness, when they pushed out God, the politicians will end up becoming gods themselves and becoming totalitarian, and that's what we see today. British political life is becoming more and more totalitarian, wanting only one narrative and pushing out any other narrative of free speech. But in the midst of that, we can all begin to get angry and frustrated because the ordinary people's views are not being listened to. And this is what I want to talk about Hyde Park. I want to highlight. I was very disappointed with Omar hitting a police officer. I was very disappointed in Abdul Hamid chasing Blade Runner, a Shia, around Hyde Park, and also hitting people with a stick. These things are not acceptable. Hyde Park is not a place for violence. It's not a place for punching and thuggery. It's a place for dialogue and debate and discussion and preaching. And if you want to go there and stand on the soapbox and preach and dialogue and debate, then go there. If you want to fight, go and join a boxing club. Okay? And I just want to say that again. If you want to fight, if you want to go for if you want a thuggery fight and punch up, then I would suggest you go and join a boxing club. Challenging people to a fight like Mohammed Tawhid, hitting people with a stick like Abdul Hamid, and Omar, and I'm so sad about Omar hitting a police officer because I liked Omar, hitting a police officer in the face. If you want to go and fight, then go and join a boxing club. Hyde Park is not for fighting. Hyde Park is for dialogue and debate. And everybody, whatever side you're on, you have a great responsibility to maintain freedom of speech by not being violent. And any violence down there must be called out and must be stopped immediately. And anybody who wants to go down there to be violent, go away. Go away and go and do your own thing, because this is not the place to be violent. It is for dialogue and debate. Okay? And the Muslim element, I have to be honest, the Sunni, you have to be honest, some of you who were involved in dawah, involved in dialogue and debate, some of you got involved in violence. And that is disgusting, because you're being hypocritical. 1 minute you're debating and dialoguing, and then next minute you're hitting people with sticks. So you've got to stop that, and that's out of order, right? The next thing, free speech means responsibility. Having free speech does not mean you can just say anything you want, to be honest. It means that you have a responsibility towards other people, towards other cultures and societies. And I do think that some people were inflammatory against Islam, against Muslims. It's all right having your free speech and saying I disagree with Islam and critiquing Islam. But when you say things that are purposely try to inflame Muslims, you were lucky a national... you were very, very lucky, some of the inflammatory statements against Muslims and Islam, you were very lucky it didn't spark a national riot from the Muslim community. Very, very lucky indeed. When we're talking to people, whether it be Muslim, atheist, Jew, whether it be Christian, whatever your position, I can disagree with you, but I should be able to do it in a respectful manner. I don't agree with you on Buddhism, Hinduism, Islam, gay rights, whatever. I don't agree with these things, but I still will respect you, and I will talk to you with respect. And it's important that in our society we encourage dialogue and discussion, and that we respect one another. And I do think that the lines were crossed where either on the Muslim side and on the non-Muslim side, people said things that were inflammatory, things to wind people up, and things that were very, 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 very below the belt and disrespectful. Now you might say, well, that's the price of free speech. We can say whatever we want. Well, you can say whatever you want, but there's responsibility for free speech. You have to be responsible, all right? If I'm going to say something that I know purposely will cause a riot, then that's being irresponsible, okay? So I would encourage people, if you're going to Hyde Park, not to abuse Hyde Park. You're not there to start a fight. Go and join a boxing club. And you're not there to inflame people. Go there with an attitude of scholarship, dialogue and debate, of understanding one another. Go and buy the Muslim, Sunni Muslim, some croissant and coffee. Sit down with them and dialogue with them and debate with them. The same with the Shia, the same with the atheists, the same with the Christians. And everybody should try and get on with one another, all right? Now, I know in years to come there's going to be pressure. We have to face the fact, and Muslims, you have to be honest, there is going to be a day when you want to exercise your political rights and put people under Sharia law. And we're going to have to oppose that and have to say we disagree with it. But we can do it with debate, dialogue and discussion and try to understand each other. And we can say we don't want the Sharia law. We're not coming under the Sharia law. And we can oppose it. But as much as we can, as long as we can. Because there might be a day where our freedoms are taken, where we have to say, no, we're taking back our freedom. But as long as we can, as far as we can, let's try to be caring and loving to one another and support one another and debate one another and dialogue with one another. And that's what my statement is that there are tens of thousands of Muslim nurses and doctors in this country that are nice people. They're getting on with the work and they demand and deserve respect. They don't deserve people to be trying to inflame them, okay? And there are working class white people on these housing estates that are not being listened to, and they demand that you should be listening to them, those in higher lessons of power. And you're not listening to them, and they're getting frustrated and they're getting angry. And so you need to listen to the their issues and their needs. Take care.